Hello 10th class students, as we have finished the atomic structure chapter, now what we are going to do is we are going to start with the periodic classification of elements. When it comes to intermediate, these two chapters repeat: atomic structure and periodic classification of elements. So these videos are going to help you with this periodic classification of elements, better understanding of this particular chapter. So watch them and make sure that you watch them again and again and again, because these videos are the animated versions of the chapter, and therein you can easily understand what what exactly the chapter explains is the same thing you are going to watch in the television screen also. Thank you.
Hello friends, this video on periodic classification of elements part 1 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. What we will study? We will study periodic table. We will study history of periodic table, that is we will study Devonia's trade, Newton's law of octave, Mendel's periodic table, modern periodic table. We will also study trends in modern periodic table. So let's start with our chapter periodic table. The first question that should come to our mind is, what is periodic table? Correct, because the name of the chapter is periodic table. Periodic table is nothing but a tabular display, please note, a tabular display of chemical elements, and they are organized based on their atomic numbers. We know what's atomic number. Electronic configuration, I hope you know what is electronic configuration for a particular element, and their chemical properties. So you arrange these elements in a tabular fashion such that if you see all these elements, they have similar chemical properties. So you arrange in that fashion, and these elements have similar electronic configurations, and the atomic number keeps increasing. You go from here to here, here to here, right, like this. So there's a way to arrange the elements. So the goal is that we have so many elements, we have to arrange it, and we arrange those elements, right, the elements of chemistry, the chemical elements, on some order, so that it is easy to pick one element and tell what is the property of that. So I'll tell you why it is used. So why should we study periodic table? So we have 114 elements known as of today, and the list is increasing because every year or so some of the chemists find a new element altogether. So the list is increasing, the list is growing. It is not constant list, right? So we have to somehow arrange this element, because handling these 114 elements is a big task, right? Remembering what is the property of which element and what kind of reaction a particular element goes to. So those kind of things are difficult if we don't have any tabular form to represent those. So that's the reason why we have a periodic table. One example is the real life. When you go to shopkeeper, if you must have seen, he arranged everything in a particular order. For example, all the soaps will be in this corner, right? All the shampoos will be in this corner, maybe all this vegetables will be in this corner. You're going to, I'm talking about a grocery shop, right? You could be in grocery shop, or you could do any shop. Even if you do medical shop, what they do is they arrange the medicines based on the alphabets. So that is one way of arranging to make the life of shopkeeper easy, right? If someone goes and say, I want element X or object X, he knows this object S belongs to this group. He'll go to the particular group, grab it and give it to you. One more example can be a supermarket. So when you go to a big supermarket, what you see is they have made different categories. Maybe this category, maybe they are storing only soaps and detergent. Maybe this one, maybe they are storing dry fruits, right? This guy maybe for cosmetics, right? This may be for kitchen utensils, right? Maybe this is for biscuits, cookies. Maybe this guy is for vegetables. So what happens as a customer, when you go to a hypercity or big mall, you see that this mall or this store contains a lot of items, and for you to find one is very difficult, right? So what they do is they organize stuff. So let's suppose you're looking for vegetable, let's suppose you're looking for potato. So what you have to do is, the first thing you do is you go to the vegetable section and then you can go and find a product. If you're looking a particular brand of shampoo, you go to a cosmetic section, you go and get the shampoo, right? Similarly, if you're looking for a particular detergent, you go to detergent section and get the detergent, right? So that makes your life easy. Similar thing in this case. So they have arranged the elements in a particular tabular fashion so that it's easy to pick one element, or just by looking at the element and looking at the position of that element in the periodic table, you can guess on the property of the element and stuff like that, right? So we'll discuss more on that. But before that, let's understand why this word periodic table came, why it is called periodic table, why it is not called ABC table, or why it is not called anything, but it's called periodic table. Why? Periodic, it is called periodic because in the periodic table we'll see that the elements, they repeat their chemical and physical property after a periodic interval. So if you go from here to here, right? So let's suppose it has property X, this guy has Y, this guy has Z. Again you come here, right? This element will also have X, again Y, again Z. So there's a period with, right, on which it repeats the property, correct? So that's why it's called periodic, because the physical and chemical property of elements are repeated after a periodic interval. And what is called table? Because it is in tabular form, that's why it's called table. Thank you. Visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thanks once again. Hello friends, this video on periodic classification of elements part 3 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Before watching this video, please make sure that you have watched part 1 and part 2. Let's study Daubigny triads. So in 1870, this German chemist Daubigny, he tried to arrange these elements based on similar chemical properties into groups. And he created 3 such groups, and each groups have 3 elements, and he used to call these groups as triads. So he showed that when 3 elements in a triad are written in the order of increasing atomic masses, the atomic mass of the middle element was almost the average of the atomic mass of the other 2 elements. That's what he told. For example, this is one triad where he has lithium, sodium and potassium. He has put all these 3 in one triad because all these 3 had similar chemical properties. Then he had put this alkaline earth metal, calcium, barium, all these things in one triad because it had similar property. He also put this halogen metals, halogen elements actually, fluorine, bromine, iodine, all these in one triad. So if you see in this case, if you find the atomic mass of this and this, you add these two, 39 plus 7, that is almost 46, divided by 2, 23. So you take these also, 137 plus 40 divided by 2, you'll get almost similar to 87.6, right? Similarly, 126.9 plus 35.5 divided by 2, you'll get 17.9, almost. So that's what he had shown. Relation of atomic mass with you can say properties. Here if you see, these guys all are bucket. There are 3 buckets he made, right? And they are all based on the chemical properties. But he also showed that in this bucket, you take the first and last atomic mass, you add them, divide by 2, you get the middle atomic mass. That's what a relation between, you can say that atomic mass and property of the element, right? This was established. This was never established. First time in 1817 this guy established a relation between atomic mass and the property, right? But there were limitations to this Daubigny triads. He could identify only 3 such triads, and that time, please note, 33 elements were known, but still he could find he could fit only, you can say, 9 elements in his triads, right? And these were the 9 elements he fit into the triad. So it was not for all, only for some, but still he showed some relation between the atomic mass and the property, and that's why we studied this. Thank you. Visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thanks once again. Hello friends, this video on periodic classification of elements part 4 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Before watching this video, please make sure that you have watched part 1 to part 3. Then this guy came, Newland, and he gave a Newland laws of active. What he did was he arranged these elements based on the atomic mass. He was not bothered about the chemical property. He was not even bothered about the chemical property. Right? He just arranged based on the atomic mass. For example, hydrogen, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon. All these are arranged in the increasing order of atomic mass. He observed that, and he started with the hydrogen and ended with the thorium. I think that was the 56th element that time. And he observed that every 8th element is similar to the first. For example, hydrogen, fluorine. It was his observation. They had similar property. Lithium, sodium, potassium has similar property. Magnesium, calcium, they have similar property. That's what he observed, right? He observed that they have similar property. So with this, you can see that he found a new thing called periodicity. You can see that, right? Because till now, if we have seen that Daubernier, he just found the relation between the atomic mass and the property. This guy found a periodicity of property of the element, right? Correct. And these law he called as Newton's law of octave, because after every 8 it repeats, and it is almost similar to the tune we have sa re ga ma pa da ni sa, right? Sa re ga ma pa da ni again sa. So it's similar to the tune we have, the rag in the Hindi music. And if you see one achievement of this was, with this, if you see lithium and sodium, right, the property is same. Similarly, beryllium and magnesium property is same, right? So he did all this thing, right? He arranged this all the elements in the order of increasing atomic mass, and then he found that they follow this periodicity. But it had limitations. For example, these are bucketed in 1. This is also bucketed in 1. So there are some limitations which we'll study in the next slides. So the limitation of this Newland's law of octave is like, this guy is applicable only to calcium. So after calcium, whatever the new elements found, they did not fit in his table. Right? Only till calcium this was fine. After calcium, the repetition of property was not perfect. It was not perfect. And it was assumed that only 56 elements existed. So please note, he assumed that only 56 elements existed because at that time only 56 elements there, but later on new elements came, right? Chemists discovered a lot of new elements. So, and the new elements never got a space in his table. Also, he adjusted 2 elements in one group. For example, cobalt and nickel. This is part of one group, right? One group. So this is something which you should not do, right? You're putting in a group, you should have only one element, right? So this guy put 2 elements together in a group. So that was something was questionable by a lot of people. And then also, if you see this iron, it resembles property of cobalt and nickel, if you see, right? But they are so far. Correct? Also, if you see, cobalt and nickel and chlorine, they don't have any common property, right? Chlorine, bromine, cobalt, they're all different actually. Cobalt and nickel are metal and chlorine is a non-metal. They are totally different things. But if you see, they are put together. So, the placement was not perfect. It had issues. The issues were, if you see the iron and the cobalt and nickel, they are very far, but they have similar property. If you see chlorine and cobalt and nickel, they were together, but they don't have common property, right? And also cobalt and nickel, he has put them together. That is also questionable. So it had a lot of limitation, but again, it showed one thing, that is periodicity of elements property does exist. Maybe the way he found was incorrect, but there is something that can be explored, right? And then we had a new guy that came, but before that, let's go for some questions. The first question is, did Daubinier trade also exist in Newland's law of active? So let's see this. This is my Daubinier trades, the blue one, and my Newland's law of active in the green one. Let's see. Lithium, sodium, potassium. Is it there? Yes, lithium, sodium, potassium is there. That means this guy exists, right? CaSrBa is there. Calcium, SrBa is not there. So this guy doesn't exist. ClBr, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Chlorine is there, bromine is there, iodine is not here, right? So that means this guy also doesn't exist. So if you see, only one triad or only one Daubinier triad is part of Newland's law of active, right? So only one Daubinier triad is part of Newland's active. So the question says, what are the limitations of Daubinier classification? As we know that time there were 33 elements known, but not all the elements could be classified in the Daubinier's triad. Only 3 triad with 3 elements each. That means you can say that 9 elements were part of his classification, other elements were not part of his classification. That was the limitation of the Daubinier classification. The next question says, what are the limitations of Newland's law of octave? So there are no limitation. The first thing, as I told, was only up to calcium he can accommodate, right? That follows the periodicity. After that, there are issues with that. So till calcium things are fine, but after this, it was not following the pattern actually. And the second thing was the new elements which came, right? The new elements which were discovered after that, they were not accommodated. That was one issue, right? And this guy, if you see, right, cobalt and nickel, they were together. That was wrong, right? And if you see, the iron is far away from this guy, cobalt and nickel is again wrong. And chlorine and cobalt and nickel are in the same group. That's again wrong because they don't share the same property. So that's the limitation of the Newland's law. A, B, C are the elements of Daubinier triad. Atomic mass of A is 7, B is we don't know, and C is 39. We have to find the atomic mass of B. So this guy told that atomic mass of B has to be the mean of these two. So that will become 7 plus 39 divided by 2, and that will come out to be 23. And that's my answer. Easy. So this guy told, right? So you have this 3 elements with the similar property, and you create a triad out of that. So the atomic mass of first and the atomic mass of the last, you take the mean, you get atomic mass of the middle one. Thank you. Visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thanks once again. Hello friends, this video on periodic classification of elements part 2 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Before watching this video, please make sure that you have watched part 1. Let's study the history of periodic table, how this periodic table came. The first thing happened is 1979. That time there were 33 elements. I think I have discussed the history of elements, the metals and non-metals, how it came, right? So by 1789, there were only 33 chemical elements, only 33, right? So that time, this guy Lavoisier, what he did was he published a list of these 33 elements, and he grouped them into gases, metals, non-metals, and earth. These were the classification at that time, right? So these 33 elements he grouped, because the list increase is easy to group and then find, right? So he grouped these 33 chemical elements into these groups, and that was the first effort to group these elements. They were elements, but nobody bothered to group those. This is the first effort by Lavoisier to group these elements. And then this guy came, Debonnier. So this guy Debonnier, what he did was he grouped the elements into triads based on their chemical property. We'll discuss more in detail about these. And then he observed that the atomic mass, or the middle one, is equal to the mean of the first and last, right? So we'll explain more on these, but he tried to what do you call, group these elements based on the atomic weight. So this was the first grouping happened in 1789 based on the whether it's metal, non-metal, or earth. These guys did the grouping based on the atomic weight. So this is the first time somebody tried to group based on atomic weight, where atomic weight was used. And let me tell you one thing, this atomic weight, how it came was, you remember the history, 1804. Yeah, 1804. Because till 1789, there was, the concept of atomic weight was not there. Okay, the concept of atomic weight came in 1804. How? This guy Dalton, you must have heard about this guy, right? John Dalton. He gave this atomic theory that the atom, I mean, everything is made of a particle called atom, which is unbreakable. That time he told, and then the law of conservation of mass applies in this case also. And then with that, what happens is, all these chemists, they did a lot of reactions, chemical reactions, right? For example, hydrogen reacts with water to give H2O, and they made a balanced reaction. And from that, they found that some gram of this guy reacted with some gram of this to get this. So with all these reactions, and we call stoichiometry, they found the atomic weight of the element. For example, hydrogen has some atomic weight, oxygen has some atomic weight. These atomic weights were found based on chemical reaction or stoichiometry. So because this time the electrons was not discovered, right? The atom was not even discovered. Atom was just a hypothetical, we can say hypothetical thing, because these chemists used to believe that there is something called atom, and which is unbreakable, and that will have atomic weight, and this atomic weight was found based on the chemical properties by the reactions, right? So they do different reactions, and based on that they found that, okay, this guy 10 grams of hydrogen reacted with 50 grams of oxygen to form, let's suppose, 60 grams of water. I'm just guessing numbers. So with that, with those values, with a lot of equations, they found the atomic weights of almost all the existing chemical elements. Now, please note, these were just found by chemical reactions. So at that time, by 1804, and that time I'm talking about that time, atomic number was not even there, right? The only thing that was there was atomic weight for a particular element, and that was decided by stoichiometry, that is by reactions. So with this, but it had a lot of limitations. Then this guy John Newland, he did one great thing, was he again used the atomic mass, because that was the hot topic there in 1800 era, because 1804 is Dalton gave this theory that the atom, I mean, anything can neither be created nor can be destroyed, it can be just converted, and with that they found the atomic masses of the elements. So he did one thing, he arranged the element just based on the atomic mass, right? So you see that this Debonnier guy, he grouped based on the chemical properties, because this guy also tried to group based on the chemical property, but he also used atomic weight formula. But this guy, he just used atomic weight only, right? He arranged elements just by atomic weights, increasing order of atomic masses, and he found that every 8 element has the property that is equal to the first element. So he started with the first, and that time 56 elements were discovered. If you see, 1789 they were 33, and by 1866 they were like 56 elements, right? So he observed that for all these elements, right, so it was following a pattern. So the property of first, and then you go to 8, and then you go to 9. These were matching, right? First and 9th were matching. So I will explain more on this, but just to understand that this guy did a great thing, and he just used only atomic mass, and he just arranged those elements in the order of increasing atomic mass, and he found that every 8 element repeat the property. So that means he found that there was a periodicity in the property of the elements. But it has a lot of loopholes, and it could not accommodate new elements that were found. So this guy mentally, he did a great job. Actually, I believe that this periodic table is mainly by Mendeleev. So if you see, I feel that 90% of the contribution is by Mendeleev only for the periodic table. What he did was he arranged based on their fundamental property. There is atomic mass and chemical property. So at that time there were 63 elements. So what he did was he reacted those elements with oxygen and hydrogen. Some elements with oxygen and hydrogen, because at that time these equations were pretty much known. And then their reaction property he found, and then with that he arranged them in the particular order, and that's almost equal to our new periodic table. But that time he used atomic mass, because obviously that time atomic number was not even known, right? So that guy used this periodic table and it was a big hit. It was pretty good success, but it had few limitations, very few limitations, and those limitations were covered when this guy Moseley showed that atomic number is a better way to, or better element for creating a periodic table. And please note that this atomic number concept was discovered by this guy only, 1913. If you must have noticed, 1896, this guy Thomson, he found electrons, right? He found electrons, correct? And then since it was found that electrons was neutral charge, so if there are n number of electrons, there has to be n number of a positive charge called protons, right? And with this, this guy Moseley, actually he was not a chemist, he was a physicist, right? So he knew how to find the number of electrons for any element by using the rays emitted by that element, right? So he found a way to find the actually atomic number for any element. So this, by 1896, Thomson told that there is something called this guy electron, and 1890 and 1880 was the era where radioactivity was a hot topic. So you must have seen the Rutherford and Marie Curie, all these people existed at that time when the radioactivity was a hot topic. And that time this guy was an expert in the radioactivity field, and he was able to find the number of electrons for any given element by observing the pattern of the rays emitted. So we'll not go deep into that. That's, you may study in the higher class in the physics, but just understand that this guy was able to find a new term called atomic number, which is nothing but the number of electrons or protons, right? And then he found that atomic number is a better way to judge or to create a periodic table, right? And with this, the moment he used atomic number, Mendeleev periodic tables anomalies were all gone, and it was a very good periodic table. So we'll learn more in detail about this, but just understand this, how it went. The first effort was by this Lavoisier, 1789. He classified elements into gases, non-gases, and metals, non-metals. Then this guy Debonnier, based on the chemical property, he created tirides, trades actually. Then this guy Newland, he showed that when you arrange the elements in the order of increasing atomic mass, it follows a pattern. So there was a kind of thing that there's a pattern that existed. And with this guy Mendeleev did a good amount of research, and he almost created a periodic table, but that time he was not even aware of atomic number, right? The only thing they could know was the atomic mass, and that from trigonometry. See, now we have a lot of instruments to actually view the atoms, right? So the physics has helped chemistry to view the atoms, because it has given good instruments to actually visualize the atoms. But at that time, nothing was existing. So the atomic mass was all found by chemical reactions, and this was the only thing element existed. So this guy created this periodic table based on this, and you see after this there's a long gap of almost 45 years, right? And then this atomic number came, and this guy found that, dude, if you use atomic number instead of atomic mass, things are fine. And that's what he did, right? And then we got a better periodic table. Thank you. Visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thanks once again.